My name is Alvina, nutritionist working with S&D Marketing. So tonight I'm going to share with you about the topic Pansulin for your blood sugar level health. All right. So before I start, here's just a disclaimer. The presentation for tonight is to offer about health, fitness, nutritional information, and it's designed for educational purpose only. So you should not rely on the information to settle or to replace any professional medical advice, diagnosis, and also treatment. So if you have any concern or questions about your health, you should always consult your physician or consult us nutritionists individually, okay? So there's a disclaimer so that you understand that tonight's session is for educational purpose only. So we're going to start with where does the blood sugar come from? So I want you to answer me. Do you know actually where does the blood sugar come from? Does it like created by our own body, or is it from somewhere else, or is it from our daily routine? So let me know, like, what do you think, like, where does blood sugar come from? Okay, if you can reply me in the chat box. Okay, I can see that we have still few friends that's on the way joining in. Correct, from the food that we eat. Mr. Vincent say nasi lemak. Yeah, that's one of it. So basically, yes, blood sugar actually comes from food. It's not only from sugar. So because a lot of people, they might have some misconceptions thinking that blood sugar is sugar, that's why it is only from sugar. So it is not. Sugar is the one of the food or the things that we ingest can be turned into blood sugar directly, but actually all the food that we eat can turn into blood sugar. And the food that we eat, yes, they have different form. They are carbohydrates food, they are proteins food, and also they are high fats food. So yes, different foods, they will actually contribute different level of blood sugar in the body. However, here is for your information, all kind of food actually will contribute to our blood sugar. It's just that the carbohydrate food is the form of the food that will actually turn into blood sugar directly, and also be used as energy. And when we consume the food that we take, when it turns into blood sugar, blood glucose, actually, do you know where does this glucose go? So which part of the body does this blood glucose will go? And also in terms of healthy person and also a diabetes person, do they have any difference? So we're gonna find out now. So for the healthy individual, when we take our food, all the food actually will go into our digestive tract. And when it reach like our digestive tract, actually will break down into glucose, and that is where our pancreas will be actually triggered to produce insulin. Okay, so this is your smart body. It will actually react to what we eat. So when the food that we eat is very high in sugar, then the pancreas will trigger to produce a lot of insulin. And if we are eating a food that it produces lesser sugar, then the pancreas also will secrete lesser insulin. So as a healthy individual, when the food comes in, turn into glucose, when the pancreas produce insulin, it actually will send signal and send this insulin to the fat cell and also the liver cell to open up the door for glucose to join in. And also another very important cell that require glucose is our muscle cell. So muscle cell, they actually metabolize the glucose very fast. So the people who have more muscle, then they can actually metabolize glucose faster. And the lesser they have, then the lesser glucose they can metabolize in a short period of time. So that's why the extra glucose usually be stored at the liver to prepare, basically store it as like in a storeroom. So whenever our body lack of glucose, then our liver will actually release the glucose bit by bit to actually balance it. And often we also have the time that we have extra glucose in the body, which means that we are actually in our diet, we are having too much of food, and the glucose is actually not be utilized by body in a short period of time. So that is when glucose actually will store in a fat cell. So from here, you can actually imagine as a normal healthy person, even you have like you need to utilize the glucose, but if you are taking too much of it, eventually your fat cell will be fat and grow bigger and bigger. Okay, So this is where in a normal healthy person, where the glucose will be stored or utilized. How about in diabetic individual? So for diabetes, their body having problem to regulate glucose normally. So when the food is breaking down into the glucose and released in the bloodstream, a diabetic individual, they have two situations. Either they cannot make any insulin or doesn't make enough insulin to actually uptake the glucose in the body, or in the second situation is that their body able to make insulin, but the cells, which mean on the liver cell or the fat cell or the muscle cell, they cannot respond properly to actually open up the door for the glucose to go into the cell. So there are two different situations. So this is the like a sample animation on how the glucose actually from bloodstream go into our cell. So when our body detect glucose in the bloodstream, the pancreas will produce insulin, and the insulin will actually attach to a key, or we call it insulin receptor, that on our cell, so that there's a door for glucose to join in, to go into the cell from the bloodstream. Okay, so this is the animation about it. So in a diabetes person, so just now I mentioned there's two situations. Either the insulin is not working, which means no insulin are coming to attach to the receptor, or second situation is that the receptor doesn't react to the insulin. Okay, so basically from here we can know that there are two types of the diabetes, which type 1 is the type that we say caused by the autoimmune disease that reacts to actually stop pancreas from making the insulin. Means that the person body actually is attacking on pancreas cell that supposed to produce insulin. So in that case, the person doesn't have enough insulin to regulate the sugar level, hence we call it type 1 diabetes. And usually type 1 diabetes require insulin injection. And for the type 2 diabetes, which is the more common one, which contribute to 95% of the diabetes cases. So type 2 diabetes is referring to those who are having insulin insensitivity, which means the second option just now we mentioned means that the pancreas is actually still able to make insulin, but the body or the insulin receptor doesn't respond well to it. That's why the glucose door or the glucose pathway is not open up, and hence having high sugar level. And you can see that in my PowerPoint here, we have another like third situation, which only happen for ladies during pregnancy, and which we call gestational diabetes. It will actually goes away after the baby is born. But why do I put it here is because if you happen to have gestational diabetes, it will actually increase the risk of type 2 diabetes later in life. That's why for those who are just having diabetes during pregnancy, maybe you can see that it's already resolved after the baby is born, but it's very important to keep a healthy lifestyle in order to reduce the chance of getting the type 2 diabetes in the later life. Okay, so here is like a summary of how blood sugar will spikes in a healthy individual compared to a diabetic. So you can see here in a green line is the optimal level, or we say a healthy individual, how their sugar level looks like during a day. So which means when they had their breakfast, food come in, then that's where the body reacts quickly. The sugar spikes and the insulin produced to regulate down. So within 2 hours of time, usually the blood sugar level should back to normal, like before having food. And during the next meal, only the sugar level will spikes again. And within 2 hours time, back to normal. And another meal spikes and back to normal. And as you can see, for a diabetic person, they also have similar trend on the blood sugar level, but you can see the starting point of the sugar level is actually already high. Means that for a normal person, there should be maybe in between like 70, but for a diabetic person will be around 125. So this is just an example. I don't give an exact number, but just for your reference, a diabetic person, their fasting level is already higher than a normal healthy individual. And when they had their food, you can see that their blood sugar level doesn't just spike like one fold compared to their fasting, but maybe up to threefold. Means that their body cannot react quick enough to actually bring down the sugar or the food that they consume. That's why even after like an hour or 2 hours, their sugar level will be still higher compared to their fasting level. Means that their body cannot bring down the sugar level effectively. And then when they start their next meal, they continue to spike up. And when they bring it down, also, it cannot still bring back to the fasting level. So this is what will happen when a diabetic person, their sugar level profile will looks like during a day. So for suggestion, usually for a diabetic person, we don't expect them to actually bring down their sugar level back to like healthy individual, but they should always aim for the recommended range, which means at this blue line here, which is the recommended one, that would be more optimal and also to reduce the risk of diabetes related complications. Okay, so yeah, this is how a healthy individual and also a diabetic person, their blood sugar level profile looks like throughout the day when they had their food. So actually, what causes a person to get diabetes? What leading them to get diabetes? So there are few risk factors that actually will be affecting, especially for the type 2 diabetes. Why do I mention only type 2 here? Is that because type 2 are more related to our lifestyle and also things that we can change. And also it is a more common type of the diabetes around the world. And also a lot of people are actually facing it now. That's why we'll be more focusing on talking about type 2 diabetes. So the risk factors included are the family history of diabetes. Sometimes genetics play a part of the role that actually give us the risk of certain diseases, but that is not the only reason, because type 2 diabetes, as we know, it is actually more much influenced by our daily routine and also our lifestyle. So when we say family history will play a role, is because most of the time a family, they stay together, so their lifestyle will be much more or less similar. There's also like one of the reasons why maybe sometimes people will see that a certain disease actually run in the family. So this is one of the reason. And other factors is like having a high BMI, which more than 23. So this is a more strict reading, because usually we define a person with overweight BMI is actually like around 25 and above. But if we want to make sure that our risk of type 2 diabetes is actually low, then we have to control our BMI below 23. That will be better. And in urban area or the places where people have inactive lifestyle, or people who work in the office where we sit like in a day of our time, we sit more than we walk, or we doing any other physical activity, then basically like people can categorize it as inactive lifestyle. Unless you do some exercise other than your working time, then that's where you can actually break the inactive lifestyle. And also people who already have other metabolic syndrome, like high blood pressure or high cholesterol, can also lead risk factors to type 2 diabetes, is because all these three are actually related to our body metabolism, which means when our body having metabolic syndrome, means that our body doesn't produce or actually utilize the food that we eat efficiently. That is when all these like the bad cholesterol, the bad fats, and also the bad sugar, the high sugar level will stay in our body, and that can also contribute to high blood pressure. So they are actually like siblings. They will stay together and come together to visit you. Like if you get like two of them already, then the third one, like sooner or later, they will come. Okay, so that's where when we get any of this, we need to be careful of their siblings also coming to you. Okay. And like I already mentioned earlier, the history of gestational diabetes also will become risk factors for type 2 diabetes. And age also risk factor, mainly because our metabolism will drop, especially when we are 40 years old and above. So like I mentioned, high blood pressure, high blood cholesterol, and also diabetes are related to our metabolism. So when the age increase, metabolism drop, there's like you can see how the risk actually increase with age. Okay. And also some people, they are actually born with impaired glucose tolerance, or even their lifestyle maybe contribute, making them have insulin insensitivity. So there is also where they're already showing a sign of factors of type 2 diabetes. So how do we actually reduce those risks? So the advice is just a very general, and also like basically everyone already know it. Eating a healthy diet, be physically active, the root cause of if we do not do this, then that is the root cause of us getting diabetes, especially type 2. So to reverse it, of course, we need to change it and also practice a healthier lifestyle. And also avoid drinking, smoking, and need to manage stress well. Also can contribute to reduce the risk of getting diabetes. So as for today, we will give you some advice on the diet, and also some tips on how to practice a healthy lifestyle. And more importantly, also, we already know that Pansulin is helping a lot of people changing their life, especially manage their glucose level. So I will also explain how Pansulin actually works and the mechanism that how Pansulin can effectively help us to improve our blood sugar level. Okay, so a little bit of advice on the diet for glucose control. If you can remember, just now I mentioned those who have diabetes or having high sugar level, their starting fasting level is actually already higher than a normal person. So we don't want to have food that will actually spike the sugar level further. So we need to go for the food that is low in GI, means that the food that doesn't spike our sugar level that much, because a diabetic person is already having problem to regulate it. So the first thing that we can do is try not to spike it up that much, so that your body, even that it produce or it process the sugar level slow, but it can eventually bring it down compared to those who are having high GI food. Okay, and also we need to limit the simple carbohydrates food, which also are the food that will spike our sugar, or the food that is go through a lot of process, and also lack of fibers. There's also the food that will actually bring the sugar level even worse. So replace the simple carbohydrate food with the complex carbs, which means those come with more fiber. So fiber means that in white like compare to white bread and also the full wheat bread, then of course we go for the full whole wheat one, so that it comes with the fiber that actually can help to control a bit the sugar spikes, and also give us our body have the chance to metabolize it better. And also we can consume healthy fats that actually reduce the inflammation and protect blood vessels. Why do we emphasize on the healthy fats? Is that because when we eat the food that is the non-healthy fats, means the food that come with the fried food, and also like the pastry, all those kind of fats that are found in this kind of food can actually cause inflammation. But if we choose the fats well, means that we know the quality kind of fats that actually can turn around and help us to reduce the inflammation and protect our blood vessels. And lastly, also we can include the functional food with active ingredient to improve our health and repair the cells, which actually Pansulin can also be considered one of the functional food. So for exercise, we will actually encourage to do moderate physical activity. That means that you don't have to be very extreme, or it doesn't have to be very hardcore, but you can actually do any kind of physical activity, because that is better than none. And you cannot you don't have to like be shy or feel like demotivated because you never do exercise before, and because it is actually never too late to do anything to improve your health. So the activities that we recommend to do is as simple as like walking, gardening. And if you are more adventurous, you can go for hiking. Or if you are enjoying like doing dancing with your friends, or you have a group of friends that enjoy doing certain of activities, you can actually just go for it to actually help your body to move. And actually when your body move, you can maintain your muscle, and your muscle is able to help you to burn or utilize more of the glucose. And in another way also, it can help your body to become more fit. And eventually you will also improve your body metabolism, and hence the way to process glucose will be much better as well. Okay, so all these are the information that you already know, but here I'm just giving you some ideas that what you can do to actually improve your health, since it's like January of 2024 is like a new year. So if you haven't set your new year resolution, then you can actually go for it and set your target today. Okay, so what is even more important is that we want to know about Pansulin right tonight, because we want to know how actually Pansulin helps so many people to improve their sugar level, and some even they don't have to rely on the insulin injection after taking Pansulin and with the lifestyle changes. Okay, so Pansulin basically is made with bitter gourd, as you can see in the pictures. So, but they are not normal bitter gourd or the powdered bitter gourd. But with 12 years of the research and development, we're able to found that specific peptide, patented sequence peptide from the bitter gourd, extracted from 320 kg of bitter gourd in order to get 1 kg of the polypeptide. So as you can see, it's very tiny peptide that we found to able to attach with our insulin receptor, and even can help to reduce the inflammation and repair it. Okay, so Pansulin also a formula that comes with green coffee bean extract that can actually help us to burn fat faster with the chlorogenic acid inside, and also come with fruits and vegetable complex that promote digestive function and also improve metabolism. As we know, diabetes is one of the metabolic syndrome. So this formulation is here to help to enhance the total function to help with diabetes or sugar level control. So here are the mechanism how Pansulin works. So earlier I also explained that how in healthy individual, their body actually reacts to the sugar. So when our body detect the blood sugar means come from food, and it's digested, being sent into the bloodstream, and through the bloodstream, it actually will go around our body and go to the specific cell that will need glucose. So which mainly is liver, muscle, and also the extra one will go into fat cell. So that's where insulin actually will go to this cell and find the insulin receptor. So you can imagine that insulin is like a key, and also the insulin receptor is the lock of the glucose pathway, or the door for the glucose to go into the cell. So a healthy person, they will have healthy key and also healthy lock. So they can do their work very well. Whenever they have glucose around the body, they will actually just open up the door and let the glucose go into the cell and turn into energy. As for a diabetes person or people with insulin insensitivity, that is where their insulin does not bind to the receptor because of the damage of the insulin receptor. So you can imagine this as you are having a rusted lock. So even you have a healthy key or the proper key, because of the rusted lock, you can even open the door as well. So that's where the sugar actually stay in the bloodstream, and when we check our sugar, when we check our blood, and it shows high sugar level. So Pansulin is a very special ingredient and is able to mimic the insulin to attach to the insulin receptors, and also at the same time reduce the inflammation or repair the insulin receptor to become active again. So basically, you can see that Pansulin attach it here, and eventually it restore the function of it, and the glucose channel is open up again. Okay, so basically this is how Pansulin works to help with the control of our sugar level. Okay, so these are the scientific proof and also the patents or some awards that we received for Pansulin because of the beta-carote peptide with very special functions, and can say that it's the only natural material that able to bind with the insulin receptor and can be administered orally. So far we do not found any other natural ingredient that can be able to can be taken orally, but also with the function to bind with insulin receptor. Okay, so based on the clinical studies on the beta-carote peptide, able to help with the reduce in the fasting blood glucose, also the post eating blood glucose, and also HbA1c, which is a very important indicator for glucose diabetic status. And also during in the study, we also found it can help to reduce the bad cholesterol and improve the good cholesterol. Other than that, additional benefits, it helps with reduce in body fat, visceral fat, and even waistline. Okay, so some people do find that when they take Pansulin, their waist getting smaller and also their trousers getting loose without they actually really do anything about it. So that's the consider we say like side effects from the Pansulin. Okay, the main function of Pansulin is to help with blood sugar, but also additional benefit with blood lipids and also body fats. So as I mentioned earlier, HbA1c test is the very important indicator for us to look at, and we even do a money back guarantee on this reading test. Means that with Pansulin, we guarantee that your HbA1c will be reduced within 3 months time with the specific dosage that we recommend. And as long as you follow with it, if your HbA1c do not improve at all, then we will actually return back the money that you purchased Pansulin. Okay, so this is the one of the guarantee that SNE given to all the customers who try our Pansulin, especially those with high HbA1c or diabetes. Okay, so why do we want to check on this HbA1c test? Okay, this is because I'm not sure whether are you one of the person like this. Okay, whenever you will go for a health check or be few days before your health check, you know that you want your report to looks nice and you don't want to hear something bad from a doctor. So you actually control your food or you don't really eat anything sweet just to make sure that your blood test looks nice later on when you go for a checkup. But because HbA1c is actually determines the average blood sugar level over a period of 90 days. So it means that unless you are doing your like control of your diet or any changes for more than 90 days, then you can affect your HbA1c. But that is actually a good thing. But if you are just like few days of changes and you go for the HbA1c test, you can't actually lie to a doctor or anyone who actually read the reading, because that will actually show how's your blood sugar level are during that 90 days. So it is actually used to diagnose pre-diabetes and also a diabetes, means that we can actually, based on the result, to know whether a person is a diabetic person or not. And of course, a tool to monitor blood sugar. And in the study in UK, they also very emphasized on the reduction in HbA1c. It's because by just reduction of 1% of HbA1c, you can actually reduce our risk of diabetes-related death by 21%, myocardial infarction, type of the heart diseases by 14%, microvascular complications can include like the inflammation at the blood vessels or even damage at your foot, diabetic foot. So all these are the related to the microvascular or like the damage of the eyesight. All these are related, can reduce it by 37%. And even amputation or death rates by 43, which is a very huge reduction. So don't just see it like 1%. It's just one. Like the number is small, but the things behind this 1% actually matters a lot. as you already can see, reduce especially amputation or death by 43%. So the more that you reduce the HbA1c, the more can actually further reduce all this risk. So up to here, I believe you already know how important it is for us to take care of sugar level health, and also with Pansulin, we can actually do that. So who needs this Pansulin? Okay, so for those who ever want to take care of your health, you can actually take this Pansulin as a maintenance. Means that even though we mentioned a lot, Pansulin can help with blood sugar level or for those who have diabetes, but not only for those people who need to take, but actually for people a lot nowadays who love to eat dessert or consume a lot of carbohydrate food, especially the processed one, then actually you are actually suitable to take Pansulin before your food or before all this sweet dessert, to make sure that your sugar level doesn't spike as much as like we don't want it to be unhealthy. And also for those who have already increased blood sugar level or the HbA1c, definitely you can go for this. And for those who want to regulate cholesterol level, actually even uric acid level, Pansulin is also a very good product that you can try to include in your daily routine. With the changes of the lifestyle, of course, you can see the result faster. If not, then you might need to take Pansulin very consistently and with the sufficient amount dosage, and that you can see the good result after that. Okay, so lastly, just disclaimer again. So all the information here are for educational purpose. So if you need further advice, you can always meet us individually or make an appointment with us. So these are the information that I would like to share for tonight.